Hey everyone, it's Jem, and I want to talk about a sort of change of relationship for me with um, one of my goddesses. If I was going to put it into like more traditional terminology or like Wiccan terminology, then I guess I would say that I have two matrons on my path rather than a matron and a patron. And my two matrons are Morgan Le Fay, um, the Morgan, and the Lady of the Lake, who I call Vivian. And as you can see, I'm very inspired by Arthurian myth. And so, anywho, I've worked with them since literally day one of me taking in paganism and deciding that that's what I wanted to practice. Um, well, recently, earlier this week actually, uh, I posted a series of 4 photos, like a collage, of 4 pictures of the Lady of the Lake on my Instagram. And I said something to the effect of, like, I just had a really profound experience with Vivian, and I'll probably make a video about it later. And this is that video. And, what I'm gonna say isn't necessarily new in terms of the world and knowledge and spirituality, and it's certainly not new to me either. But it's it's profound for me. Um, I think in life we all go through excuse me, we all go through peaks and valleys, right? That's just how nature works. Everything is a peak and a valley. We could see the peaks as like spring and summer of our lives, and the valleys are winter and autumn in our lives, right? If we're going to put positive and like negative connotations on the seasons and peaks and valleys. Um, but that's just what we do. That's just what life does, and we don't always like it. Most of the time, I don't think we like it, but that's just how life is. And I think it reminds me of this quote, and I don't remember where I read it or who said it, and I just rhymed. But true strength is not defined by how much power you have. It is defined. True strength is defined by your ability to keep on going after all the bullshit that like life throws at you. And I think that's really true. I think that's extremely true. Uh, I always think of that whenever I'm kind of like feeling shitty. I think of that, and it kind of helps me get through. And I feel like since I began my channel back in December last year, I was in a valley, right? Like I was just in this like rut, and I was like, damn, I really have to do something, and not just spiritually. I mean, like in life, I felt very like blah, and so I started the channel um, as a way, yes, as a way to connect with other pagans, um, but also because I knew it would help me talk to myself. You know what I mean? It would help me pull things out of myself that that we can't just say to ourselves. It would help me speak from my subconscious to myself. Does that make sense? Uh, there have been times in my life where I think up until I was actually about 20 years old, maybe 21, 22 actually, 22. I know the exact year. So when I was 22, up until I was about 22, I was a really hot mess. Um, I was really destructive and really sad. Not so much angry, that came later, but I was very sad. And at 20, what did I say? 21, 22? At 22, I finally got to a place where I was done with it. I always say, feel what you feel for as long as you feel it. And so I felt that sadness for like 22 years. And, finally, I just didn't have it in me to feel anymore. I had exercised it from myself, I guess. Time did its thing. And I knew that I finally wanted to start feeling good about myself and about life. And so I kind of polished myself, like a gym. But I polished myself. And I felt so light inside. Like my physical body felt light and like lighter. And I felt happy. I noticed that my thoughts weren't as negative. And I really did it through gem magic, through working with gemstones, and working with Odin, and becoming this gem warrior that I am now. This following this warrior mentality, this warrior path, um, and working with gemstones, correlating those two paths. And that really got me to the best place that at that time I had ever been in my entire life. I'd never felt that good, never felt that powerful, never felt that confident. Um, I just felt on fire, you know? And so then I got into a relationship. And before this, I was so unlucky in the romantic department. I had a few encounters with people, but nothing serious ever. Nothing that ever lasted over like a week. So I finally got into like a real relationship, and I put myself into it fully, like 100%. Like I didn't have any, and I'm being honest, I had no barriers against this person. I had like no walls, no defenses, nothing. I just went into it and was like, here's my entire soul. Like, take it. And so, of course, I expected the same in return. And it did not work. But because I put myself into it so fully, I really got hurt when it ended. Like, really got damaged. And so I got really mad at myself. More so than getting mad at him. I got mad at myself because I let that happen. Because I was at my most powerful, my most confident. Like, I had shown my Achilles heel, and he just, like, stabbed it, I felt. And so, just like that, I went from being a polished gem to a rough gem again. To this unrefined stone. And I was just like, damn it, I worked so hard. It took me so long to get to that really good place. And then, like, seriously, just a couple of months, I think, with this one person took all that spiritual growth away. Like, now I feel like fucking crap again. It was horrible. So, yeah, I was really mad. And eventually, it took me, like a couple of years. But eventually, as the seasons went on, I got to a really, really good place again. It was like 2 years. So 2 years after that relationship, I'm finally back into a good place again. And I finally feel really powerful, really confident, lighter than ever. I was changing my life. I changed my job. I changed everything. Really everything in my life. I got rid of all this stuff. I, started eating differently. It was when I went, well, actually, I was vegan during the relationship. And then after, I was like, F it, I'm not vegan. And so then I was pescatarian, which is where you only eat seafood. And then I went back to vegan again when I was feeling really healthy and happy again and powerful again. So I repolished myself and I was like, yes, my life is back on track again. I am the most powerful I've ever been once again. And those 2 years of polishing, of doing shadow work and light work and stuff, I kept thinking I have to get back to who I was before this relationship. And I don't think that was actually a really good idea. I don't think that's a positive thing to tell yourself. Don't ever try to go back and become who you were. Because you'll just get trapped. Always try to become someone better than who you are now. And so eventually, the way I got back to my polished self was I had to realize that. I was sitting there trying to be the person that I was before I met this guy. And then I realized, holy shit, I'm not the same person anymore, though. That experience, that relationship changed me. There were lessons in that relationship, and I can either hear them and take them and learn them, or I can just live in this cycle, this little rut. And so I realized that I just had to be someone better. I had to, yes, polish myself again, polish my gemstone self, but that my best wasn't going to look the same anymore. It was going to be something different. And that's kind of great. You surprise yourself, I think, when you do shadow work and light work, um, you surprise yourself with the strengths that you have in you. And yes, the weaknesses too, but you really surprise yourself with who you really can be and who you truly are. Um, and I love that. But anywho, I had gotten back to my really ideal self for myself, my ideal vision of myself. I was there. I was him. And then I got into the relationship that I'm in now. I've been in for 3 years. And of course, we did the thing with relationships. We're still together, obviously. But we did that thing where, you just settle with each other. Like, you get into routines together and you start eating the same kinds of food and, like, watching the same movies. And you almost lose a sense of individuality. But, again, you're gaining new parts of yourself. You're adding new parts to yourself and you're revealing new parts to yourself, to each other, and to yourself. But you do lose a part of yourself, I think, when you get into a long-term relationship. And so it really started to weigh on me these past few months, almost a year now actually, but it really started to weigh on me and I was like, I just feel like I'm not who I want to be. I'm not being my best self for myself, but also not for this guy. Like, I want to be better for him too, not just me. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. People always say you need to be your best self because you want to be. And yes, that is true. And I do want to be my best self for myself. But I do also want to be my best self for him too. I want to show him how like positive and energetic and loving and compassionate I can be. Because that's a gift to him. And so this past year with my YouTube channel, that's what I've been doing. I've been polishing again. And so in the process, I've been taking on new ideas, setting new intentions for myself, and just discovering myself again, And it finally dawned on me, earlier this week, it finally dawned on me that my relationship with Morgan Le Fay, the Morgan, Morigna, Morgana, whatever you want to call her, because to me it's all the same person. My relationship with her reflects my relationship with my mother. And it's so obvious. And any of my friends who know me in like real life who watch this know. They're like, duh, Jake, I could have told you that like years ago. Like, what, 8, 9 years ago when you first got with her. Like, that's your mother, that relationship. And I don't mean that in a bad way, because I know I've spoken before about my relationship with my birth mother and how it is not ideal. It's not even passable or good. So, how it's very stressful and painful. But I realized that Morgan reflects that so much. Because in my experience of Morgan, she is, a little harsh or a little rough around the edges and is very much tough love. Okay? Like, not bitchy, just tough love. And, like, no nonsense and shit, and really is kind of like not always open-armed and compassionate in my experience. And I realized that I was kind of getting this like rough, shitty love. And anyway, I finally realized it. And I was like, you know what? I don't deserve that kind of love anymore. I broke away from my mother because I didn't like that style of loving. That kind of abusive love almost. But here I am recreating it in my spiritual life with this goddess. I don't understand. So I finally, there's a difference between knowing something and then actually believing it. You know what I mean? Like, you can know all day that, doing, that cutting yourself could eventually lead to killing yourself, right? But you still do it. You know it's hurting you and you know it's killing you inside and physically, but you still do it. You still cut yourself, even though you know you shouldn't be. And so then that's where the shame comes in, right? So that's where I've been. Like, I realized that my relationship with Morgan wasn't the healthiest for me. It wasn't the loving. I need like a nurturing mother because I never had it, right? And so I realized that, but I didn't do anything about it. I continued to let myself kind of, and again, I don't mean any shade on the Morgan. These are sunglasses. I don't mean any shade on the Morgan because I love her and she'll always be my goddess. I'm not getting rid of her or leaving or anything. She wouldn't let me. But I realized that my relationship with her was reflecting my mother's, and I didn't need that anymore. I needed nurture. And so I got to the point where I finally, again, I went from knowing that to finally believing it. Like, you know what? That is true, and I don't need it anymore. I don't deserve it. I don't want it. You know what I mean? Because, like I say, I'm repeating myself, but there is a difference between knowing that you're in an abusive relationship and then believing and understanding that it's bad for you and that you don't want it anymore. You know? So I was kind of wondering, like, okay, this could be like a huge teaching lesson for me, to like change how I view the Morgan and to like see her as more loving and embracing and nurturing. But then this thing went off in my head. And I wasn't doing a ritual or anything fancy. I was like walking out of my bedroom, going down the stairs, thinking about all this, coming to these realizations. And then it just clicked and I thought, "Oh my god. I already have a goddess like that, and it's Vivian, the Lady of the Lake." Like, I've talked about her before a bajillion times in several videos, and every time I talk about her, I have always said, always, that she has never said or done anything negative to me. Ever. Ever. I get no darkness from her. Like, none. None. Like, she's just purely holy, good, and light, and honest, and like wonderful, and beautiful, and nurturing, and positive. She does nothing but build me up. That is all she does. And so I realized it. I was like, holy shit, how have I not made these connections over the past like 9 years? 9 years that I've been working with these two goddesses. How have I not noticed this? How have I not? It's crazy. It's crazy. I don't know how I haven't noticed that. But I did, and it just affected me, as you can see, extremely deeply. Like, extremely deeply. It did, though. I thought, holy shit, this is big. This is really big. I just realized how I'm recreating my relationship with my mother, not just with the Morgan, by the way, but like in real life with people, too. I keep recreating it. And I don't have to. That's me doing it. That's not the world. That's not the universe. That's not society. That's not those people. It's me going to those people and acting like a hurt, abused son to them. And them in response, acting like an abusive mother. It's crazy! It's crazy. It's crazy. But, this also makes sense where I have not worked intimately with the Morgan like the way I used to in about 2 years. Okay? When I work with the Morgan for the past 2 years, it's been very much in passing. She'll say things to me and hug me and be very kind, but then she immediately leaves because she's like, you don't need me right now. And I haven't understood why, and I think it's because I kept projecting my pain onto her, and she was like, no, 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 baby. Like, I'm not a bitchy, abusive mother, so don't make me into one. So she left. And I'm like, oh my god, light bulb. Like, it just made so much sense. I can't believe I finally noticed it. And so, now that I notice it, though, it is up to me to change it. So, yes, I'm like pushing myself full-heartedly into working with Morgan now. Vivian now. Vivian. Although I do see Vivian as a part of the Morgan Trinity, So when I say the Morgan, I really can mean Morgan, like LaFay, and Vivian, the Lady of the Lake. But I was just like, holy chicken fucking shit! Like, this is awesome. I'm just so happy that, hang on, I wrote notes so I wouldn't go off topic. And if you hear anything in the background, my cats are being extremely rowdy. But yeah, the answers have been in front of me since day one. That's what I wrote. And that's so true. Breaking cycles, knowing when you're ready to change. Like, I'm ready to change. I'm ready to change. I feel like I've already broken the cycle, sort of. Well, no, I haven't. I've recognized the cycle. But now I'm in the process of breaking the cycle of, like, abusive motherness. Abusive mothering. And it's not gonna be easy, I know that shit. But I'm so not gonna fall back into this peaks and valleys routine I was talking about, where I feel really great and powerful, and then super shitty and weak, and really great and powerful, and super shitty and weak, just going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth through extremes, because that's what people do. I don't want to do that, and I know that that's gonna happen anyway, like in a minimal degree. You know what I mean? Because again, we season, we go through peaks and valleys, but it doesn't have to be extreme like I've been doing. You know, it's been very like bipolar, and I don't have to do that. I don't have to do that. Man, I'm so excited about this. I've already felt parts of myself come back that I felt like were gone or hidden from myself. Pieces that I thought I didn't have anymore, like aspects of my personality, have kind of resurfaced, and I'm so happy about it. Memories from my childhood have come back, like positive ones. That's another thing. Vivian, working with her this past week, has made me realize that I have literally like blocked memories from myself. Like for real. Like I should probably see a therapist. Like I'm not kidding. Like I know that I blocked out for a really long time the memories of being molested as a child. And then they came back years and years later in my 20s. Like I know that. I blocked that out. And that makes sense to block that out, right? But I blocked out other stuff too. Like positive stuff, not just like abuse from my mother or my aunt. Like happy memories. Like I just had a memory the other day of playing in the woods behind my house, and it which brought me so much joy. And we found this old bike, and that looked like it had been down there since like the 70s, and this is the 90s, right? And we were like, holy crap, this bike is ancient. And so we like made this whole story up about it, about how there was like this ghost girl. And anyway, I know I'm sidetracking, but it just brought back this really great memory. And I thought, holy crap, what else am I hiding? And so lately now, I've been watching movies and cartoons from my childhood, so from the 90s, listening to a lot of music from the 90s that I loved back then, and it's bringing back so many positive memories for me that I didn't think I had, that I literally forgot happened. It's so awesome. It's so awesome. Like, I guess I'm just finally moving into a lighter phase of my life now. I don't know. But I really want to take advantage of being in this space in this time to really break the cycles again. Not just the abusive mother thing, but to break the cycles that I've created for myself that aren't helpful. You know? I'm just super happy about it, you guys. That's all. I'm just super happy about it. I've been searching and searching and searching for a god or goddess or spirit to try to help me for some reason with parenting stuff, particularly fathering, because I didn't even have a father figure at all, had no father. But like I kept kind of getting like turned away, or I would forget about them, or like, you know, whatever. And now I realize it's because I had to work on the stuff that I already did have, which was my mother experience. And I haven't worked on it. It's ludicrous that I haven't. I've done little things, you know, here and there. It's not like I turned a blind eye. I've been kind of working on it since day one of my pagan path. But I feel like I'm finally, like, conscious of it, you know what I mean? And ready to take the next leap in it. Oh, thank you, Vivian. Oh, my goddess. Anywho, I just wanted to share it. I'm so happy to have come to these realizations. I think that I just reclaimed like part of my soul, you know? I unleashed more of my power. I'm super fucking happy about it, you guys. Anyway, that's it. Ashe.